sis, how was that touring in America with a choir now, and we got these magnificent, impressions of James Cleveland, of me. I'm influenced by Milton Brunson. I'm having all these influences, and you're going into Hawkins territory and singing. You know what I'm saying? Out there, you know what I'm saying? So I'm building up. You're going into the land of giants. You're going into Milk and Honey as a choir. And by the way, there's no cell phones, there's no this, there's no that, there's no, this and that. You're going out there with young people. How was that, sis? So I'm building it all right there.
I'm loving listening to you because you're just bringing back some of the memories.
Affinity Extra, be extra.
Okay, guys. I'm gonna bring a guest in. We've got one more that's due to come in as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna kick off because hopefully he's not even a guest. He's like he comes in all the time, which is Kevin anyway. But I have to. Oh, he's coming in right now as we speak. Okay. Let me just line. So guys, I'm gonna bring you guys vocally on. Let me just get this on there. Okay, sorry if you're listening into the radio, you can gather we're doing a Zoom conversation. This is gonna be reproduced for YouTube because we want to record the great conversations that we have about our community so the next generation can hear what we are talking about and to see the beautifulness of our past, our history, and this is the edge. Before you think that I'm 5 years old and I shouldn't have a clue about big man music, I am not 5 years old. I was born 1976. I did score a goal today in my cup final, so I keep myself nice and healthy. But the reality show is that I grew up listening to Andre Crouch, Walter Hawkins. I was tortured by letting on my bass guitar by playing Richard Smallwood, because I was just learning how to play the bass, and it dawned me with a track called Holy, and I failed the choir because my voice wasn't broken and I was too ashamed to sing in the altars, so I wanted to sing in the tenors. But obviously men, I was from a different makeup of men, but that's a whole nother debate right now, because it seems like my voice would be perfect for the modern day man. But anyway, Roger, to go and get yourself in trouble here. I know it's edgy, but we're gonna bring in, I guess. So guys, I'm gonna make sure to unmute this. But hey guys, I can tell everyone can hear me loud and clear. Is that right, guys?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear everyone right now. So I have to introduce everyone quickly. Now, I have to be kind of quick with Kevin because we all know Kevin. Yeah, sorry guys, because Kevin usually comes on the show and he's a black music historian. We've been breaking up, making sure our conversations that we would have on the phone, we have here on the Edge Show, and we've been touching about some amazing things. So I'm gonna jump over Kevin a little bit here because we all know Kevin, because we got some beautiful guests with us today, and I'm going to start off with someone who I do know and quite well. She's always spotted me out from years ago in the music scene and whatsoever, and I have to make sure that we have sound bites and information from people who were trailblazers. Absolute trailblazers, and I absolutely, she knows my annoyance of some of the trailblaze moves that she has done that we haven't capitalized on, because we just wasn't with it. And if people say, Roger, how you mean that? I'm a little kid watching what we should have done, so I'm now the big kid and I'm now have to try and do it. But anyway, that's obviously leading to someone called Juliet Fletcher. You know what I'm saying? And Juliet Fletcher, who I never knew was a singer because I only known her from her capacity but when I find out, she can hold two notes. Am I the only person in the gospel industry that does something who can't sing? You know what I mean? Or can't play an instrument too good. But anyway, Juliet, just introduce us slightly, just about, obviously we're talking about Windrush today, but just talk about, just a couple minutes just to introduce yourself and how you got in the gospel scene and what's happened. I know you need a book to do that, but if you could do it in 2 minutes.
Oh, bless you, Roger. I'll tell you what, you're such a special person, and just love Affinity Extra and all that you're doing and all that you've ever done. I can't even think of one thing that you've done that hasn't been so worthwhile, so in-depth, so forward-thinking and creative. So, big ups to you. You are part of what, God said to me, devote yourself to this music. It's going to mean something in the future. And you are part of what it means. That was the vision that God spoke to me as a young teenager when I was 16. Yes, I am a child of Windrush. My parents came over here during that era. And out of all my experience, if I was to talk about myself, a church girl from the Church of God in Christ, Kojic, more popularly known, and which has got such a strong music history, both in America and in the UK. But I'm discovering another stronger music history, actually. So we'll talk about that, I know, from the Windrush era. But I began to sing in the church, and then from singing, when the Lord said devote myself, I became what would be more known as a promoter. I just went out talking about the music, even when there wasn't any music from outside the doors of the church to talk about. And after a short while of doing that, all these groups started to appear, performing. I was able to travel the breadth of the country at the time, and became a promoter. And out of that, I got involved with the church network ASIA, or originally the West Indian Evangelical Alliance, which became ASIA. And out of that, joined the BBC and became first a researcher and then a producer, their sole expert in gospel and soul music for the religion and ethics department. So it's been quite a journey. Came out from the BBC and realised that, hey, some of the vision that Lord placed on my heart was continuing. So founded the GMIA alongside two incredible people. Linton Beckles, unfortunately, is not with us. Fortunately, he'll say, yes, well, I'm happy where I am. He's in the heavenlies. Caroline Liu, who's now Hughes, was a great missionary evangelist at heart with her husband. But now, in this new era, with you on the board of GMIA, as the Lord would have it, that organisation should still exist through many dangers, toils and tears. Amen. It's still here and doing what it's meant to be doing, more so, under the leadership of the new directors and Audrey Gray, who's the new CEO. I'm very happy to still be on the board of GMIA.
This is how we do it. No.
I'm continuing on with my other projects, which have been Windrush Church and Music, and also Songshare, which is an initiative that's yet to unfold, and that's under my independent company, Green Tree, which has been there to support gospel music for quite some years now. Brilliant. And I'm here with my mother at home. Yeah, man. My mum. And she, because of her, I'm here in this country. So she's in the background, and I hope your listeners will just see with her as she's with me. I can't leave her out.
Good morning.
Bless her.
Blessing, man. And you know what, guys? I do talk about usually on my show very topical issues, very traumatic issues about the oppression that Black people have had over the years, even to this very day on my show. And today it's quite unusual, not unusual for me, but I want to look at the positivity of a sound, and I don't want to lose that positivity that in such hardship and betrayal. And when coming over here, how we turn that round into a beautiful sound. Now, a guest here who I know of in terms of, it's kind of weird because I know her children because of my circles on whatsoever, and not too well, but just know of them because my new tea friends at George Street, and I explained, and then and when I heard a number of choirs, and when I do a little research, her name keeps on coming up. When Juliet said she's coming on today, I was like, yes. It was I get to meet her at last, but no, I have to. Sister Paulette Peters, 100%. Just introduce yourself because and I know we are really humble people and we don't say what we've done, but you did amazing things, especially in my hometown in Birmingham. And just explain because you guys just downplay what you guys did, man, too much, and you guys did amazing things when you're teenagers and early 20s. You managed masses of young people, and you did all what is impossible to do right now, So sis, over to you, man. Just introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Roger. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you, Juliet, for scooping me in this afternoon, as you usually do. But yes, I'm Paulette, and what can I say about me? In terms of the music, though, Yes, I have been at the head of the Majestic Singers for as long as we've been, since 1974, 75. And I've gone that journey with them, and we still are on the journey because, we still have meetups.
Nice.
They invite us to do things, and we oblige in our best way we can. But yes, it's such a privilege to be speaking to you today. Majestic Singers is my heart because that's where I grew up, really. I learned this in the school of hard knocks, as they call it, through journeying with the choir, because I was only, like 22 when we started.
Jeez.
So it's a journey for me, and I've loved every moment of being with Majestics because we have grown up like a family together. And when I look back now and when I see the people who have come out of the Majestic Singers, we were ministers in the making. And now all of these people who we nurtured are now ministering to the next generation and to people like yourselves. So I feel very proud to have been part of that. We didn't know at the time, but we know now.
100%. No, 100%.
The Windrush generation would not have called themselves the Windrush generation. So now we have the privilege to label them, but labels they can be destructive, they can be helpful. So we want to fall under a banner that helps us to understand our history and our heritage.
Come on. Now, that's beautiful, sis, and just to kind of gauge my passion for this, I'm gonna hit out a nice simple question. I'm gonna start off nice and easy, but just to make people realize is that I work with young people, and I've seen what has happened because we stopped doing choirs. We stopped our community-facing congregation. I now see the lack of harmonies on our worship teams. Apart from that part, I've seen, but also I see a lot of children mentally weak, lack of resilience because they don't know what they're standing on. If they ever knew what our grandparents, our parents did, because we don't pass on very well in our community. If ever knew, they would stand with the chest up and realize I had more than what my granddad had when he came to this country. You know what I'm saying? My granddad walked the doors and he couldn't even get a bank account because he got blocked. He got blocked. We had to buy churches. We were being refused. We had to do partner draws to get through in life. We had to do all these things, just to get through. So they don't realize what. So this is I'm just putting the bar out because this is for the young people to hear what and know exactly what we're missing. So I'll just put it out there. Now we're talking about Windrush, and I would say my dad came over here at the age of 13. His parents came before him. He was a Jamaican born and came over here. Now I'm going back to my young child, my very, very ideas of musicians. I'm a Wesleyan. I grew up in a Wesleyan church, aka Pilgrim Church. And some of the things, I'm going to start off with Kevin because I've kind of purposely left him out because everyone knows Kevin on the show. Well, yeah. But instruments which in the 60s and the 50s, what comes to mind, Kevin, when it came to church? You know what I'm saying? I see everyone smiling. Pick out one.
There's several things. Of course, the acoustic piano and organ was a vitally important part. And the amplified guitar, that influenced, I know the banjo guitar was influenced in the various different mouth organ instruments, but one of the vitally important things was the amplified guitar, which was very popular in Bishop Francis Church as one of the first churches that played amplified guitar, actually, according to Tesley Francis. But I remember amplified guitar being performed at the national conventions, and I remember the Glory Brown brothers, the late Pastor Fisher, John Fisher's father, their band used to do it at Brixton Church. I used to remember that quite vividly. And yes, you'd be surprised. And having the late Bishop Kenneth Peter King conducting the national choir. I know my sisters can relate to that.
Yeah.
And also my dad, the Bishop J.A. Tomlin, that started Capford Church, which evolved into the Lead District, and he was the early member at Brixton Church. And by the way, I used to sing in the choir at the National Convention, the youth choir.
Okay.
Those early days. You remember what we're talking about? Those early days. Yes, and we probably, I believe I know you very well, it's just a matter of time to connect. You might find that, and but Reverend S.U. Thompson was my godfather.
Well, he's
so,
my
and I used to, there you are, and also I used to actually do supporting act for the Highgate Singers when they came to Clapton.
Okay.
Yes, I did the supporting act with the Myland Church, late Mother Beacon. So I'm pretty much.
Okay, fair play. Okay, it's all right. I'm just the untalented guy right about here.
No, you're not.
Once again, I think Juliet's trying to say something and she's muted. I think you'll say. One second. Yeah. Let me just. Something you said there, Kevin.
Juliet.
Yeah. Sorry, Juliet. Yeah. So Juliet. Now, obviously, I clean forgot. Actually, Kevin and Paulette come from the same church, but New T. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's right.
So I'm very conscious about sounds are different from different churches. Yeah. So I grew up seeing a man called Brother Hare. And these guys that you always can play every instrument on earth, yeah, but not yeah. I don't know if you guys been to a church like that, but but it was the banjo in prayer meeting, when you sing songs like Sweet Hour of Prayer, what I mean, and when you just have to prepare, everyone goes on the knees. I don't know if you guys did it in your church, but yeah, you go on your knees and you sing 5 verses of Sweet Hour of Prayer, and as a child you're knocking off to sleep, but everyone start praying and that's 30 minutes gone, and when you start again. And Juliet, now growing up in Kojic, now something that Kevin says about amplified guitars, yeah. I've got a feeling that Kojic probably had a different angle to things. I heard. Go on.
Well, most of the very early churches, and I'm going to give it from 2 angles. My own personal experience is that we had someone who played the accordion, and we had someone who played the trumpet.
Okay, trumpet. Okay.
But there was someone this man, and I remember him distinctly because I remember he was very big and fat, and when I was younger, I had a little bit of size to me as a young girl, and used to jump up in the spirit around this man playing the trumpet, and I used to love his playing. But the accordion was really important, and the guitar, and I had the privilege of becoming acquainted through the work of God with Bishop Kenneth McCarthy, who came in the 1950 came and established what I would think is the first sort of real evangelistic movement by a black preacher. He would have his own tent, and he met up with a group of guys who had the guitar. So by that time, going just at the edge of the late 50s, he had the group, the Soul Seekers. The Soul Seekers. And he also had under his belt, and there's recordings that I have as well, of the Heaven Bound Brothers. And these were
That's
all...
right.
And the other day when I did the podcast with Joel Edwards, Basil Mead and Joe Pitt, Summit Up Gospel, the podcast, and I know Roger won't mind me mentioning about it. They spoke about Kalos, which they hadn't done in 40 years, so it's quite an exclusive for our first episode.
Oh, that's lovely.
Then they talked about how much guitars were the driving force of things. But a step back from that, Roy Francis, who's written the book, The Windrush, Development of the Churches, his book, a beautiful book that he's written, that people can actually get a hold of, get the title properly. It's called Windrush and the Black Pentecostal Church in Britain. And his personal, as Kevin mentioned, his father, the Francis family, were very much involved in those early churches, the movement. and the
Oh yeah. Yes.
and the music that was there. It was mainly very early to do with trumpets, accordion, mouth organ, banjo, and then it progressed. And at the time when Bishop McCarthy brought to the fore, the Soul Seekers went on the road the same time as Cliff Richard of Cliff Richard and the Shadows.
Wow.
They went on the road at the same time, 1956. And it was from then on, everything changed when, the parallel between what was happening in the pop world of the 60s and 50s, 60s, what was happening in the church was very parallel at that time.
No, that's interesting. Now, Sister Paulette, now, up here in Birmingham, we're going to talk a bit about Birmingham, we're going to talk a long Birmingham tour. But no, did you find that in Birmingham, because I know, did you find that the sound was slightly different when it came to, when you came together with National Convention, yeah? Did you find that the London musicians were kind of different to the Birmingham musicians? And was there a difference in sound, or did you find that churches had the individual sounds? Because it's quite interesting. Sometimes you find that areas, regions, or did you feel that the New T sound, no matter where you were, was the New T sound?
I wouldn't be as distinct as that, but I have a feeling by that time, we had moved on a little bit from just the guitar to the Yamaha. That Yamaha sound was very strong. And if you know the Yamaha keyboard, the electric piano, that's what came in that era. Before we did have the guitar, when I was a child, it was the box guitar.
Box, You call it
box guitar. and then they amplified it. So,
that's right.
After graduation, they amplified it. But then the keyboard came in the, 70s, 80s, because there was, the choirs began to require more. We needed more for the sound. And when we're meeting in conventions, we needed a band.
Okay.
Yes. So you can see how the bands began to take shape, and the musicians at the same time equipped themselves to play and really looked up to, anticipated being one of the convention musicians. And young people aspired to that. Everybody wanted to be a part of the music group, the band.
I want to say something with that to support what you said. Fix McIntyre was one of the keyboard wizard of the day, Yamaha. You remember with the late Reverend McIntyre?
McIntyre, yes.
Look, and this is what we need to remember. Some of the best musicians came out of these churches from Birmingham, Manchester, and I can mention all of them from Church of God of Prophecy and New Testament. They were, and what was interesting, although the ministers for the two denominations didn't link, the musicians from both denominations and so on linked
together.
Because they were interested in creating a sound, and eventually it evolved into the secular world because it became such. And I tell you who inspired them a lot as well. The staple singers Unclouded Day was one of the early influence, the 1950s classic on the VJ record. If you listen to that guitar amplification, and also another thing to Fill Up Church, which was a Chicago session player, legendary, who played with Michael Jackson, etc., was one of the key people that many of the boys, the gentlemen up there in north of the UK listened to. That's why they became the technical, the Andy Smith, the Nicky Browns, Luke Smith, Lawrence Johnson, Elliot Brown. And look at how successful Simple Red, all because of what Fix McIntyre learned in the church, playing in the national band at convention.
Can I interject and say that Basil Mead confessed in the podcast he did with me that he was playing the guitar, but when they couldn't get their keyboard or the organ at the time, he discovered that he plugged his guitar into an amplifier. He would get the sound that Roebuck Staples had with his guitar, and that's how he was influenced. He was amazed that he could get that sound that if anybody of your listeners know that song and want to go away and listen to that song.
Cloudy Day.
No, not just on Cloudy Day.
Cloudy, but all of the others they did, yes.
Come Go With Me.
Come Go With Me, that's right. That's it. Yes,
yeah.
Yes, that's it.
You know, really echoey sound of it. And it's great that, you know, we had that sense of wanting to experiment, wanting to push the boat out back then. And people did it in their own way. I think Bethel Church as well, you know, the musicians from there and from the Church of God Seventh Day, where you'll find the Merrybells were and their band of singers. Yeah. You know, all these different groups were doing what they were doing, but the Majestics stood out. And Basil Mead confesses that they were the lead to going out there and actually end up recording and were most popular at the time. And they're recording at the studio. That's where Kanos met the Majestic singers at ICC Studios. And it was quite funny to realise that Basil didn't remember that he played organ on the album, isn't it, Paulette? I was quite fun that he didn't remember that he played organ. But it's great that there are different sounds that developed in different churches and that we're discovering each other, that we all had such a big contribution. But, you know, I always thought Kojic was so big and so wonderful in its contribution when I think of, you know, what we brought over, and we had Andre Crouch and he came over and all this. But when you think of that what New T right here was doing and the expanse of the work across the various different denominations, it's just actually fantastic that we rooted right here in Britain is a real British development of a sound of people who crafted and made a contribution that spread way out into the music industry itself.
No, I totally agree with you, Juliet, because I have to go back to the Majestics now. I'm a Wesleyan boy, so you know I grew up around the corner from George Street Church, you know, so I know I'll go past it all the time. So it's around the corner thing. My wife's parents actually got married at George Street Church as well. So it's kind of, you know, we kind of like, it's like an epicenter church of the Birmingham area. Everything's George Street Church, yeah. But I never realized that the choir, every time I dig down, that's a gem that I really felt like if we carried on, may not be in the form of Majestics, but if we carried on that momentum and had the support, I wonder where we would be. But we're not going to soak too much about where that issue. But I think sometimes I believe that we are so humble that we're ridiculously humble because it's a sin to be proud for and say and big up what we've done. But my friends, somebody came to the studio here at I'm based at Groves and World Studio, and I was with who's now a pastor. I know him as Ruben Hazel, so it's hard to say Pastor Ruben Hazel, yeah. And he says, you know, he developed as a musician at the age of 15, touring around the country and USA with the Majestics. Now, no one. I just want to. I don't know if Paulette would wave the flag and says, "Guess what? We toured before everybody else in America." She's not gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? She's not gonna big up herself. But I'm gonna put it out there. In fact, the Majestics, we today are begging to go America. We're like this. Oh, I want to get a tour in America. I want to do this. But it happened already. You know what I'm saying? And we already done it. And the thing is, the key thing is that we do it. And we don't talk, you know, we keep it D-Lo, you know, but you guys toured with teenagers. Now, I'm assuming that you was on tour in America, sis, yeah? You know what I'm saying? And I know, and this is not, I know God's got this, so we just didn't know what goes on the tour stays on tour thing. This is about, sis, how was that touring in America with a choir now? And we got these magnificent, you know, impressions of James Cleveland, of me, I'm influenced by Milton Brunson, having all these influences, and you're going into Hawkins territory and singing you know what I'm saying, out there, you know what I'm saying, you know, so I'm building up. You're going into the land of giants. You're going into milk and honey as a choir, you know. And by the way, there's no cell phones, there's no this, there's no that, there's no, you know, this and that. You know, you're going out there with young people. How was that, sis? So I'm building it all right there.
I'm loving listening to you because you're just bringing back some of the memories. But yes, it was fabulous. You know, we took a lot for granted because we were a bit fearless.
Good.
And I have to say we had good leadership. Mm-hmm. Justin Lewis was our road manager, as it were, mentor.
Mm-hmm. The late Justin Lewis, isn't it?
The late Justin.
Oh,
yes.
What a man. Oh, I love him. I miss him.
You know, he impressed on all of our lives. I have to say that. But, you know, myself, Justin, Cynthia, you know, we were the leaders, still are, in terms of how we are today. But, you know, we had to carry not only ourselves, but we had to carry all this equipment. And remember when we landed, yes, we had to carry equipment. And we landed like this amazingly in the, I think it was Kennedy Airport. And then we had to go to, I think it was Atlanta. And when we got to Atlanta, there was a room and we saw our name up on this room. Welcome, Majestic. So I'm thinking, what?
What
Who knows that we are here?
What?
Yeah, and we had a VIP room. We had everything we wanted, and you know, and every time we stopped off, because when we were on tour, we would always come back to Atlanta to get another plane to go somewhere else. And we were out there for a few weeks, so it was amazing. We were just like celebrities, and we didn't even know it. When we went to the various churches, they really treated us like royalty, and they were, you know, some of them never seen black people.
Okay.
We went into a little village called Dallas in Carolina, and they said, "Did you come on one of those things up there?" They'd never even left their own little districts. That shocked me. That, you know, I was thinking, what? These people that have never even been on a bus outside of town?
Yeah.
So we were fearless, and you know, we did so many amazing things. We sang at the church's General Assembly, which was the highlight. We went and practiced with Dr. Barnes at Lee College, and we did a rehearsal, and we went and sang at the General Assemblies, and for us that was the highlight of that trip.
Wow.
And we saw the white side and the black side of America. I have to say that because it's like two different sides of a street.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
Many stories that we could tell about just being there. But it was, you know, for young people, you know, some of us between 15 and 25, that was eye-opening. And those experiences have taught us to be open-minded in terms of how we face our world today.
That's
because
right.
we can't be blinkered anymore. We saw so many varieties of worship.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
So many styles of worship, not just in America, across the Europe. We've been across Europe, and we've been across this country, from Scotland to Ireland to Wales.
Wow.
And so we've seen it, both Anglican and Protestant and Pentecostal, and you know, the Ealing was one of our embracing churches where we learned such a lot. And
yes, that's right, the Ealing.
That's where we learned dance.
Yes, the Ealing could dance, boy.
A dance in church. And we brought that. People were very anti-dance. You know, they thought when you leave the world, you leave dance behind. But actually,
no.
It was God's music is God's music.
Yeah.
So we were pushing some boats out, and we were really pushing boundaries. And I'm glad that we did that in a fearless way. Maybe we couldn't do it today. We would have done it differently today. But it was a right time for that.
Wow. And
Roger, can I ask?
Go.
What fascinates me when you talk about 15 to 25-year-olds back then, I'm kind of like, say someone like Steve Thompson.
Well, actually, Steve was about 11.
Oh my
And he was on tour.
Started with the Majestic.
Oh my days.
We had to beg his parents to let him come and sing with us because they thought he was too young. He was 10 when we started, and I used to just say to Steve, this is what I want to hear. I mean, I can play, but I can't play like Steve. I know the music, but I can't play it. So I used to say, Steve, I want it to sound like this.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just give me what I wanted. And so all our songs, even though they may have been originating in America, because they were at the time, we Britishized them.
Yeah, good.
Because what I didn't want for us to sing songs like players, we didn't want to sing their songs like sounding like Americans.
Good.
We wanted to give, you know, how Americans sort of roll their words into 2 and 3. We wanted to say the words so that people could hear what we were saying. So our diction was very important for us at that time. So when we were reconfiguring songs, it was a very important thing for me to make the songs sound like British songs.
Good.
Like black British gospel, and that's how we did it.
Excellent.
I think that's really interesting because, well, I'm fascinated about this 11-year-old. I mean, I hope to speak to Steve about his, you know, and I don't know the age of the other members. I'm fascinated at his, because he was and is a genius, and he was a genius.
Absolutely was.
Really, genuinely so. But my thing is that I remember that period of time when we began to be more aware of ourselves as singing as choirs. The difficulty we had, because Americans sing very often with a vocal slang, because it's their accent and the way they sing things and phraseology. And when our choirs were singing and we sang with the British diction, it was too, as it were, too lightweight in our heads compared to the way in which the Americans said what they were doing. So I think that what made this whole thing with preferring the American sound is that they were singing and stylizing, and we didn't understand there was a certain amount of slang. Whereas in, say today with rap music, and we've got the grime sound, which is the British, done with the British slang, with the British emphasis and accents on words. But we didn't, unfortunately, have that transition in the choir sound until much later, that we began to understand, well, this is the way we sing it, and this is what we want to say in our phraseology and our breathing.
There's something that we had to learn was ad-libbing, because many of the songs in Americas were interjected with ad-lib. And we were just we were used to singing the verse and 2 chorus.
That's correct.
But when we made them choir songs, we had to rephrase them so that we could find words to ad-lib. And so our leaders had to learn how to ad-lib and even go away and write some ad-lib so it was spontaneous when we delivered it. That was a huge piece of learning for the choirs.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't our style.
Because the thing is, for me, growing up, and you heard "Thank You" from Walter Hawkins, as you see there, and they stretch out the song. For me, the best part of the song was is the ad-lib section, when you like this. Okay, when the choir master gives the mic to the singer and says, "Yo, girl, I'm giving you 5 minutes. Make Jesus sing it 20 times, or make it different every single time." You know what I'm saying? I just thought that was just natural. You just do it in your bathroom, and you just turn up and you just do it. It was as easy as that.
No, Happy Day was one of the teaching ones for us. When we did it with Hawkins, we had to learn our own ad-lib. Because they have a style. If you remember, Happy Day.
Yeah.
In the chorus part, we made that our own. And when I get to glory, I'm going to see Jesus and I'm going to sit around the throne. That was all part of what we were feeling. Okay. Because we'd taken time to learn that.
No, that's absolutely great. Now, we're talking about the sound now. Now, obviously, you guys are coming through in the UK. Things are not as easy. You're fighting. You're the first generation in the UK of Caribbean people. There's, there's this success that you're having with Majestics. You guys, and you haven't mentioned it, and people and Sister Paulette, man, you hide the gems, man, because I heard that you guys recorded 3 albums, man. And guys, you have to realize recording albums now, I can do. It's like smoking a cigar. This is easy. You know what I'm saying? Compared to back in the day, now, yeah. Now, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm a techno geek, yeah. I came in the scene and I seen an 8-track. Now, back in the days now, guys, I have to explain to you, you had to know your things before you come in. There was no auto-tune. There was no get it, you know what I mean, I'll tune it up later. Oh, by the way, I'll add the bass on later. You had to get it right in the night. You had to practice your pieces. You had to be on point. Now, sis, I have to salute you. In a time period which I sometimes look back at my elders and say there's not enough music recorded back in that period, you guys recorded 3 albums, and I have to say publicly, I absolutely salute you for that. Now, but you defy logic. How on earth did you guys pull that off? Because I'm like, I'm like, how hard it is to do an album back then. I hear stories of bands like Bob Marley bands and all them things that just turn up and then they do it over 1 or 2 days of recording and they're in there. And I'm thinking, the finance, the time, and you produced vinyls, you know what I mean? Had to sell vinyls and the economics, and we never came over here with gold in Jamaica and they're sending money over to us. We had to send money back home, you know what I'm saying? And look after our people, so how did you... It would just be straight. How did you financially pull this off? You know what I'm saying? It's just incredible to me.
I mean, we had good direction. We did our first album at Eastbourne Studios with Les Moyer.
Yeah, I remember that.
So hold a second. Right, so everyone's there trying to get Les's number right now. You guys were hooking up with Les like from all the 60s.
Yes, he cut his teeth on us. Can we say that?
Oh my goodness sake. Yeah, the superstars, the Majestics. But anyway, right. So no, that's fantastic. So you go for it. So I got excited when you said that. I was like, what?
Yeah. So and part of that whole process for us was learning, because we had to pay for studio per hour. So we had to know what we were going in to do before we went in. We couldn't go in and practice. There was no time to practice, so we had to get it right. There may have been a few retakes, and we were supported with that. But that's how it was. We knew what we was going to do and went and did it. And then they would cut and paste, and whatever they had to do at that time, they would do that and bring out the best sound. So I admire those guys, and Helmut Kaufman. And the support that we received from them is brilliant.
No, that's fantastic. Now, I have to, something I mentioned before you came on, some of the tracks that I played a track called Perfect Peace from Andre Crouch, yeah, and I have to salute your period of time, because the way we had to record, the perfectionality, me and Kevin would talk about the ability of the musicians, the development of the musicians, because they had to get it right on the night, ultimately approach and the beautiful musicians that we produce to deliver in this world. Now, we had a momentum, and I would say to you guys that I saw as a baby, as a baby kid, I looked up to concerts going on, 3-4 concerts going on. What? And I asked some people, what happened? We were there. What? Just what happened before the Great Depression when it came to gospel music? And people might think that, Roger, you're being a bit harsh here because we got this here, got here, there. But guys, I have to say, I'm talking from my perspective as seeing a scene before what you see today. I was there going around as a little kid, and I didn't go to many. I wouldn't say I was a concert kid. The concerts were amazing for Gazada, for coconut tart, for patty, for homemade ginger beer. You know what I'm saying? That's what concerts were about for me. I didn't really pay much attention to the singing part, yeah. And everyone's laughing because everyone's starting to dribble now. Sorry, people, yeah. People like.
By the way. This is something I remember.
Go on.
The Latter Rain Choir that Basil was part of, with Lawrence Johnson supporting the Mighty Clouds of Joy concert.
Mighty Clouds of Joy?
Yeah. They supported the Mighty Clouds of Joy in concert. And I remember them supporting other groups as well, like Danny Bell and so forth. So I was very much behind the scene in one sense, looking at some of the things.
Wow.
But what I did
in the park with Danny Bell and Cliff Richards.
That's right. The thing about it, what I didn't realize, I was actually soaking these things and researching. I was searching, not deliberately in a sense, but I got rather curious, and it really accelerated when I went to the US in 1986 when I got married, and I started to study what this is all about. What is so impacting with the Fix McIntyre and the Steve Thompson of the world that came out of the church and became master musicians and became hired guns for secular artists as well. And what I discovered that when you were in the church, it's either sink or swim, because you had to raise the bar. You got to be you either learn to master the instrument or just sit down at the side. And so you find that the bar was raised each time. As we go to convention each year, the bar was raised. The singing as well. And I remember actually seeing the difference. I remember one day when I went to the Black conference at Cleveland, Tennessee, one year in New Testament Church of God, and actually watched a Church of God choir from the UK singing compared to an American one. And I heard the different sounds, like the tenor sound and the alto sound, which the Americans did not do. They will mesh it into one. I said, yes, that's where the difference is. They were fascinated with what we were doing, and we were fascinated with them. But it was really different. And guess who was playing the piano at the time? The late Reverend McIntyre. It was fascinating.
You guys mentioned Reverend McIntyre a few times now, yeah, and obviously I heard of the name many times in terms of what you say referred to him as a reverend. Which church was he based at?
He was the bishop. He was the bishop at one time of the New Testament Church of God.
Okay.
After Lysite.
Okay. Cool.
And he was a good friend of mine. He's a contemporary of my dad, Reverend S.U. Thompson, because they all the thing about it, what I remember about him, I used to visit his home a lot and watch Fix McIntyre practice on the keyboards. And his Fix McIntyre's mum was a good pianist too, and the father. They were brilliant. So it's not so surprising that Fix became a brilliant musicians.
Yeah.
Those are the rudiments. And we spent hours watching his dad, and his dad was a brilliant preacher too,
Okay.
It's amazing.
He was also a brilliant saxophonist, because the first
exactly
album,
yes he was. He's correct.
I remember hearing as a church, because I just I'd never really heard our church. I used to love convention. That convention sound, Paulette, Kevin, when everybody's singing.
Yes.
And remember the album that I got. I know I've got it somewhere, but
I think it's Brixton. It's either Brixton or Stoke Newington Church.
Yes. That's right, and it was a black. That's right. He was
leading it, and I remember hearing the congregation singing the song on recording on vinyl, and that was the first time I've ever heard all of a church convention on vinyl as a recording, Roger, and it was really amazing.
And another thing too, yes, that's true. Another thing too, Reverend Utchison.
Oh, one second, Kev. Go on, Kev. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Juliet.
Sorry.
And the reason why I say that is because he actually led on music. He was quite passionate about music, and it was the first time for me to hear a church leader who was willing to lead on music and to have it at the forefront. I mean, our church, Kojic, they'd let us sing the choir. But where there's an initiative where you do something that encaptures your history, encaptures your sound, and we have that final recording. I don't know why it's not played. I don't know why they don't pick it up, but somebody's got a copy of it. I'm sure maybe you've got it, Paulette. But it's a great recording of the church of that time, of the Windrush era, in a major convention. And New Testament was one of the big congregations of that time. So I hope that through this broadcast, maybe someone will ask their
Out.
parents or their grandparents. Do you have a copy of the New Testament Church of God vinyl convention? It would be great to hear that on the Affinity radio.
Listen, we definitely, and I think, and what's important, I do want to say to you guys, I know I'm just feeling the positive vibes about, the beautiful times that we had, and I believe that it's time that we talk about them, because we, as Sister Paulette, you mentioned earlier, you didn't really realize what was going on around you until you look back and you go, hold on a second, we were 15 to 20, no, 10-year-olds up to 25-year-olds, delivering. And when you look back, I'm doing a lot of series now, just having conversation with people, what they've done, we belittled getting an instrument up, playing at convention at the age of 10. We belittle that like it's nothing. When children, our peers, and when I say, our peers, not myself personally, but our peers who were at school, just starting senior school, can't even belch in front of people without crying, because they're too scared to talk in front of people. We are getting instrumentation and going, oh, what song are you going to sing? We don't even know what the songs are going to be, and we're going to play it from the top of our head, you know what I'm saying, and join in. And like as Kevin says, it's called sink or swim. You know that you have one opportunity, evening service, you know what I mean, and that's another thing now. Sorry, Sister Paulette, I'm gonna pick on you because I'm gonna treat you like the choir master, and the choir masters are the scariest things back in the day, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh my gosh, if you get you know what I'm saying, I've seen choir masters pull out somebody, can you sing that part for me? By themselves and whatever. And something Kevin said again, he said that about sink or swim. Now, we would say that's wicked, we would say, listen, they're all gonna take part. You'd be like, no, they have to, if they're not good enough, they're not good enough, you know what I'm saying? And if you can't make it out of Sunday school choir, you can't get into the youth choir, you know what I'm saying? That thing. So, was it as harsh as that? Or do you think cool.
Our church had a culture. Our church had a culture where they nurtured young people from as soon as they could stand up and call their names. We had something called Family Challenge, or a time in the week where young people could have a platform to do whatever they liked. Sing, recite, play a song, whatever instrument. So there is a culture behind this thing about performance and presenting yourself that they were already engaged in. So by the time we got to join the choir, you had to have some sort of acumen. It wasn't come one, come all. So we really did filter through people who had a bit of nuance about them so that they could actually come and contribute something to the group. Cool. So if we then, as the choir director, felt that somebody could do the lead, I would just say, let's have a go at that. And they would do their best. If it wasn't wonderful, I wouldn't shoot them down, but we would encourage them and say, well, let's try it on a different song. But that's how we worked it. Cool. So that we got the best sound we wanted. Cool. And there was a space for growth in the choir.
We mentioned a few musicians in terms of Steve. We mentioned Steve Thompson, who's one of my friends' uncles, Jerome Walters. I know all them young guys there. So I kind of like, that's his uncle. And he always used to tell me how good his uncle was. By the way, S.U. Thompson, he prayed over me at my wedding. That's a scary thing. He's good friends with my wife's grandma. But it's all flooding back to me now. You know what I'm saying? And now you mentioned Steve Thompson, but there must have been a few decent singers that have come out of the group. So which singers would you say who sang in Majestics, who gone on to do certain things, would you say?
We have obviously our lead singer was Maxine. I think everybody knows Maxine.
Okay.
So Maxine had the strongest voice. Maxine Simpson at the time. She's now Maxine O'Connor. So she had the strongest voice, but we nurtured others. We had Mark Lewis, which was Justin's son. We had Carol Lewis, she was little and feisty. She still is. I think she went on to join True Colour. I think it was
New Colours. So Carol Wiley.
Right.
Caroline. Okay. Yeah.
We had Sophie Lewis, who was Mark's sister. We had a few, and we had someone called Barbara. Barbara, is it Davis? I can't remember her name. Beeson. She's in the States now. She had a really strong soprano. And Bev. So we had quite a few that we could call upon. But it depended on which song, which sound we wanted. So that's how I really brought the choir, that we could choose the sound and give the lead to it.
No, that's absolutely amazing, and it's great to hear that, you know. And the people have to realize that, you know, when we see a lot of soloists in this period of musicians and singers coming out, choir was an instrumental part of their development, absolutely fundamental part of it, and that's definitely want to salute it. Now I want to close down, because guys, I feel like this conversation, we can sit down and have a big massive cup of tea and talk it. It's amazing. But just to close off, guys, you know, a question that I would love to ask, you know, and we're gonna have more sorry.
Question.
Okay, go. So no, go for it.
Just to go back on Maxine, did she do a solo album, Maxine?
No, she didn't. She was always lead on ours, yes.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought
Majestic, yes.
To become a solo artist.
No.
But
I mean, she could have.
Yes.
And I think she had the opportunity to, but Maxine stayed with the choir.
That's wonderful.
Wow. Well,
She's got her own ministry now, by the way.
Thank you for that. Sorry.
No.
Sorry about that.
No. That's beautiful, man. Now, myself, guys, you know, I'm keeping mentioning my early influence when it comes to music, and it would be interesting to hear you guys' influences. I'm not going to say you're going to back out Jim Reeves, but I'm going to myself, you know, my biggest influence is Andre Crouch. That was my first album. Even though I was born 76, I loved his Live in London 76. I got that CD, and I just love, as a bass, I just loved the musical element of Andre Crouch. If anything, that's one of the biggest influences of gospel for me. And when I realized how big he was and how he transcended not only gospel but also secular music, before the Kirks, you know what I'm saying? Before the Kirks, and he transcended not only black gospel, but it was within the white Christian world as well. He was amazing. So I would have to say things like, you know, Oh It Is Jesus, you know, I mentioned, you know, songs like that. You know, I grew up listening to and, you know, hear the choirs, and they would sing in my church, and they would sing songs like that. So
that Jesus shed for me.
Yeah. So that was influence. So starting with Juliet, if you can give me just growing up, man, that artist that you secretly always have that love for.
Oh gosh, it's very difficult for me to pinpoint.
That's why I picked on you first.
And you have to actually let me have to think about what decade, because remember, I've lived through decades.
Okay.
Within every decade, there's someone that you love. I think my first would have been something like Mahalia Jackson to start.
Sweet.
To progress into Marion Williams. I skirted with the oh gosh, and they've just slipped out. But she was a female guitarist.
Oh yes, I know. Yes, I know you're talking about. Yes, yes, I know.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
That's right.
Wow.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe. She was a guitarist, and she transcended gospel to become popular in the blues. And she travelled to Britain, and she was. You can go on YouTube and put in Rosetta Tharpe. You'd amazed how much of a great guitarist, and she influenced people like, you know, the Eric Claptons and all that. Her guitar work was impeccable. You know, all of those great. And then I'd have to then go into sort of like the choirs would be the New York Community Choir and the Hawkins. Andre Crouch is there anyway. He's the foundation of everything. But there are a couple of choirs whose names have gone into my mist, but they were the ones whose songs we copied. My choir was called the New Jerusalem Choir.
Okay.
And we did concerts with the Latter Rain Outpouring Revival Choir, and the songs that we sang in that came out of some of the really choirs that are not as well known as, say, the choirs that the Tommies and things like that. But they're the ones that were very influential during those early years,
That's beautiful.
And the Mighty Clouds of Joy was my group.
Yes, what a powerhouse! What a powerhouse!
This I knew that was a tough question for Juliet. She could nail it off into one. Kevin, talk to me. What would you say is your go-to gospel act? Back in you growing up and you just know you had to just put that record on and you just made you smile, bro.
Staple Singers, number one. Staple Singers that started their career working for the legendary black label BJ Records with Cloudy Day and so forth.
Wow.
That was the first one, of course. That's going back. And then, of course, you got the Orkins on the West Coast. You got the community, New York Community Choir on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And then you got Rance Allen, who signed to Stax Records. Rance Allen, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Rance Allen.
Yeah, man.
Well,
that funk. The funk.
That's a serious brother there.
Yeah.
I Belong to You. You need to check out that track. I Belong to You. What a powerhouse. I Belong to You. And to say, we could go on right here. And then, of course, you have the Winans, the Winans.
I'll just drop in Winans, yeah.
Yes, you just drop that in. If you're talking about the different decades, but when I feel really that I want to get some inspiration, I have to put on the Orkins, bro. Got to put on the Orkins.
Yeah.
Yes, and let us not forget our dear friend James Cleveland. Some of his early. Yeah, so I could go on forever, but these are the early. I'll call it musicians, and of course, one album that I never forget that impacted me greatly was Amazing Grace by Aretha Franklin. That changed the bar for me.
No, that's my album.
That's the album. What's the transformation? That is a monster album. That is a transformation
album.
And yes, that is the landmark album, Sonic Mastery, that actually got me really serious about let's cut this thing. Let's revisit music again. Yeah,
okay.
But anyhow, we could go on all say, but I'll stop right there.
I'm dribbling with the amount of quality music you guys are talking about, man. I'm just thinking, oh yeah. Now, Sister Paulette, now talk to me. Who's your go-to? When you're saying, okay, who's because guys, let's be real. Sometimes when you want to escape it through your music and you press play and it takes you back to the good old days. I do that through Andre Crouch. Who do you go to?
If I really am confessing now, the Commodores I loved.
Oh, Jesus.
Confession.
Please. Wait, I was trying to be holy, but Jesus, God. Commodores.
I had to just confess that. But, the Barrett sisters, we can't forget the Barrett sisters and the Clevelands and Aretha. That era for me was just inspirational.
No.
And if I think about choirs, remember Flatbush Gospel Choir?
Oh, Lord.
Flatbush Singers.
Yes, I remember
and
them.
And the Gospel Airs. Now, I tried to find something of the Gospel Airs, and I can't find anything.
That is another serious one.
Oh my gosh. They used to give us goosebumps. So a lot of our songs when we started was of the Gospel Airs. Jesse Dixon.
Oh yes. I mean,
Jesse Dixon. Yeah.
To see you any day now. Oh, sorry.
It's my auntie
No.
Yes, I'm not going to mention all of those others, but yes, the Thompson Community Gospel Choir, I love that sound.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, we could go on. The Clark sisters.
Oh Lord.
When the Clarks came across and we did that concert with them, it was so inspirational. Now, that's putting you on the spot. When Matty Moss tells you, go and sing that song, you better get it right. And that's how she was.
Yeah.
But that's how she taught. And I learned so much as a choir director from her.
That's quite interesting because I think that I do, guys. I just appreciate this conversation today because I saw the my colleague Michelle, she Mimo, she put up a post about Windrush, and there's been so much. How can I say? In terms of just disappointment in our community, in our culture, in terms of where we are and where we were and where we are. And for today's show, I just felt I was wanting to talk about some of the beautiful things of what we've done. And I really appreciate you guys for lifting up my soul, man, and just talking about black excellence in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was I have to say. It's jaw dropping what a generation achieved under so much visible and invisible oppression. And we moan about today, but you guys got up there and you guys did it. Yes, we have to do things in a different form, but I have to just take this time to salute your generation because when you're talking about choir convention, I think people just need we're not talking about praise and worship team and 8 people on the stage. We're not talking about chorales, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about the chorale was the 8 people maybe that were queuing up to go into the bathroom after, that was the chorale, you know what I'm saying? We're not talking about the 400 people that was on the stage, 400, 300. You're talking about managing 400 people in a choir. You know what I'm saying? And this is what you guys were doing in convention and feel no way about it. You're booking out churches, said, right, we need to be in that church, rehearsing that church. And now, if you're thinking, Roger, how do you know all this stuff? Unfortunately, I listen and pick up, and that's just the way I do things. But I do appreciate you guys' skills and ability, and I will be pulling on a number of you as I pull on to Kevin over the next year. Over next year, I believe it should be a life works to document what we've done, you know what I'm saying, and have a passion towards it. And I believe that what you guys have achieved, we'll have to dig out and celebrate Majestics. We've got to dig out the records and celebrate the early recordings. We have to celebrate musicality at an amazing level. And Kevin already knows how much I got enough respect for him. Sister Juliet knows I love for her, and Sister Paulette I got a new 100% love, and I know I had to draw out the truth, you know what I'm saying, everything out of it, but we're gonna draw more out of you because I 100% believe that there's so much things in your journey that we can pass on and learn. There's no need for us to restart a new book about choirs if the book is already there. You know what I'm saying? And we need to revisit this because there's things that we can learn from the past, and that's what we continually refusing to do in our community, and we've got to change it now. So this is Roger, and guys, I have to end this beautiful conversation, you know what I'm saying? But thanks again. Just as I just gonna let you guys just want to put out a quick sound bite just to say, what element of the history of your part have you felt like just want to put a soundbite of what the Windrush sound, just put something out there, just a couple of seconds of just what encapsulates the Windrush sound and journey for you guys.
Well, I'll go first to say that I'm going to make a kind of semi-political statement as well as a cultural one.
Yeah.
We started off with what was called the Windrush scandal, with Theresa May being the person of that. But under her office, we had the National Day, officially Windrush Day, that we have the 22nd of June every year. Mm-hmm. And I think the very fact that we now have, for me as a girl who in the 60s when they had the black activists placed at the Olympics, and we didn't know what to do when we got to school, and we were faced with it, and for what we felt. Yeah, I never forget how I felt, how frustrated and really screwed up in my mind I felt. Wow. But now, all these many years on, Windrush Day has given me another feeling, a feeling and a sense of rootedness and pride and purpose in being in this country through all of the journey. And it's not that the journey has ended, it is that we have made a landmark identification that we can go on with in a very special way. So my hope and my prayer is that young people, old people, whoever we are, we would make Windrush and the Windrush Day, which was not called Windrush by white people. It was Sam King who founded the Windrush Foundation that established that phrase.
Come on.
And it's the landmark on that Empire Windrush ship. But it was from there that he was on that ship. He drove it. So it's something that's established by us, our community.
Come on.
And we need to be committed to continue to make sure that we do sail forward into the culture of the day with all of our histories, good and bad, but make them work for us in a positive way, just like you are, Roger.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. That's beautiful, sis. Absolutely beautiful. You want to go there?
Thank you for that, Juliet. And I really want to say how, this platform is amazing. That's the first thing, that we have this platform, because I remember in those days we didn't have that platform. That was the other thing. We didn't have no mobile phones, and we didn't have the platform because it was very negative about gospel music. So I'm celebrating that we have something to actually hand over as a legacy to the younger generation. In the same breath, I would love the younger generation to become more appreciative of whose shoulders they're standing on. Because my parents had to experience certain things, in terms of racism and discrimination that I didn't. But I remember having to fight for some things, in terms of anti-discrimination and teaching and educating people, that actually now you, Roger, your generation don't have to entertain.
Come on.
In fact, you can do what I was going to say, put two fingers up and say, no way.
Yeah, for real.
Because it wouldn't be heard in this time, in this day and age. So there is something about the legacy that we hold, but we want to celebrate more. I agree with you. And we need to do it more often too.
That's beautiful, sis.
So thank you.
No, thank you. Brother Kev,
what is significant about the June the 22nd, because it coincides with Black Music History celebration, both in the UK as well as in the US. So it is, to me, it is an important, significant benchmark. And I'm glad Juliet reminded me about the gentleman who has been pushing Black Music History here. I can't remember his name offhand, but it's very interesting. And the fact is that when I think about the Windrush generation, with the little they had, they were innovative. They were true originators, and that's what inspired me to be a musician and music historian. Excellent, the spirit of excellence, because of that. When I think about what Juliet's parents did, my parents did, and the late S.U. Thompson and all of them, the pioneers, and what they built on with very little, and then master it. And they were some of the greatest orators and performers and execution of the gospel faith. And that inspired me today. And I shall, with all the breath that I have in my body, I shall move towards that. And empty out every information I know and find it about those masters. Amen.
Now, bro, amen to that, man. And I'll just encourage all the three of yourselves, as my friend says, something that's really hit me over the past couple of years is we die full too often in our community, and it's about time we die empty, we put it out there, and that will just put gold into our and what we've done today, we're emptying, our experiences, we're emptying our information out there. And when this goes on YouTube, it's so like it says, Sister Paulette, let's utilize these platforms. We don't have to wait on the BBC to interview us now. What you guys had to do, we just interview each other and build
God bless you, Roger. God bless
and build it. You know what I'm saying? No, we're here to be trailblazers, guys. I am absolutely beautiful, honored. It's beautiful to have Windrush Day 2 days after my birthday as well. So
fantastic, brother. Fantastic.
I did a special YouTube video just celebrating, as you can see, Caribbean fruit cake. I don't understand why the next generation don't eat it enough, but
sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla. Listen, man, sarsaparilla. Listen, sour and ginger and all that. The church version. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
God have mercy.
and some Guinness punch and everything. But anyway, we're not gonna, you know what I'm saying? So we're not going to talk about legal alcohol that we have in church. You know what I mean? But we leave it for another day. Yeah, rum cake. But
don't forget the sorrel. No, don't forget the sorrel.
Listen, the special, the thing that makes your throat burn. Just tell one little tale. My mother-in-law, I was drinking away sorrow, and she goes, "Are you going to drive afterwards?" What do you mean? He says a bit of warmness in my throat. Isn't that the ginger? It ain't ginger. I said to my wife, D, you are driving home today. But guys, enough love and thank you again. And I'm going to close off the Zoom now, but I really do appreciate your time and effort, and I'll touch base with you guys a little later, man. God bless you all, and thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, man. God bless, man. Bless you, man. Bless you. Bye bye. Absolutely amazing, guys. Absolutely amazing. And I'm going to kick off with. Now this is a track, guys, that I actually have my ringtone. When I wake up to this in the morning, this is my actual ring. It sounds weird. What is once you got this as an alarm clock tune? And this is my alarm clock tune in the morning. This is called Tribute from Andre Crouch anyway, still, yeah. So just it shows you how revolutionary his sound is and everything, man. Bless you guys.
How can I say thanks?
Visit us for updates and shows at affinityextra.co.uk.